If you clicked on this video, I assume you want to be a millionaire, right? And it basically boils down to one key component, and this key component has helped me achieve everything I wanted to be. I wanted to become a professional football player. I implemented this one principle, it worked. I wanted to have at least 100,000 followers on TikTok or other social media channels, it worked as well. And so if you want to become a millionaire or essentially accomplish and achieve anything that you want to, it boils down to one specific ingredient: focus. And so before you guys click off because I mentioned perhaps the most cliche principle you guys have ever heard of, it's actually a little bit more in depth than you think, right? And so let's talk about focus for a moment, right? And so focus basically, in very simple terms, helps you give you a clear direction of your target or a specific goal that you're aiming for. And again, if you're clicking on this video, right, I assume you guys want to be a millionaire because that's actually the caption of this video. And so depending on what goal you achieve or put out for yourself, for me it was professional footballer or content creator, whatever not, the point is, in order for you to reach this goal, you need one specific and highly important ingredient, and that's focus, right? And so obviously this is not a specific blueprint, it's not a specific roadmap or set of instructions that will help you reach this goal, but it is more or less something like a vehicle. And so if you understand this element of focus, I can almost guarantee that you will reach your goal at least 50 to 60% more likely. And so let's talk about focus, right? So fundamentally, the definition of focus is to be able to concentrate on a specific goal or objective, on a task, let's just put a task, for a specific period of time, right? Let's just put time. And so depending on your goal or objective that you set in your life, you have to be very patient because it requires a specific set of time. It requires patience, and you do have to have some time to elapse in order for you to eventually reach this. And I assume that the majority of you guys watching this video, you've probably experienced where you set mini goals, for yourself, whatever it is, a specific activity or corporate accomplishment, or I don't know, an education accomplishment, and you know that goal doesn't happen right away. It takes some specific amount of time, and you have to basically be grit enough, you have to be focused enough so that when the time elapses, right, and through time there's specific preparations that happen, eventually the universe will give you that goal or help you accomplish that specific objective you put for yourself. Now I won't talk specifically about the mechanics of the universe because for the specific incident of this video we're going to talk about focus, right? And so now that you understand why focus will basically help you accomplish Eric, can you turn on the aircon, please? Well, focus will help you accomplish anything that you want in life. Let's talk about what the issue with focus is in today's world. And I can almost guarantee you, because I literally went through the same situation, that your focus is highly hijacked. Or in other words, sabotaged, or basically to some degree destroyed. And if you read the book Stolen Focus by John Harry, it will probably elaborate this really, really well. And in fact, most of my points that I'm going to explain in this video actually comes from that book, so do check that out. But the reason why our focus in today's modern world is hijacked is because of multiple factors. One could be, and that's a big one, scrolling. Let's just call it scrolling. Others is consumption, like food intake. Others is sleep. And then there's pollution. And there's stress levels as well. And most of these points, most of these points are interchangeable. So basically they're correlated to each other. For example, sleep has a strong correlation with scrolling at night, or food intake can also be, related to stress levels. The point is that in today's world, and this is an absolute fact, your focus is to some extent hijacked or damaged. And so the issue is, it's nearly impossible, from that perspective speaking, for you to have enough focus to accomplish your goal, right? And very often we see that as a byproduct of shiny object syndrome. Shiny object syndrome. And so you have probably heard about this principle before. If not, it's basically, I'll give you a very specific example. You would want to create a business about AI, and suddenly a week later you have a crazy business about selling coffee, for example. So shiny object syndrome basically means that you're distracted by stuff that looks glamorous. Like suddenly an opportunity or an idea comes out of nowhere, and you basically like forget about all the other progress you made for the other businesses, and you just focus on that new thing. And you see that with people who are indecisive when it comes to like their products. Like for example, I'm sure you guys have friends who decide to have a coffee business, and the next week they want to do a clothing line, and then the week after they want to do like consultancy services. And so the point is, shiny object syndrome is basically a byproduct of you not being able to focus, right? And so what is the issue? The issue is, if you want to become a millionaire, you need to be focused. And I mean that quite seriously, because being a millionaire is not that complex as it seems. Actually, if you see like a lot of people, I assume you guys look up to, they'll always say that being a millionaire is simple. And it's mainly simple because they can, and they're very good at it, at harnessing the idea of focus, right? And so if you're unable to focus, then I can guarantee one thing for sure: you becoming a millionaire, or essentially a person who's successful, is gonna be very complicated and hard, right? And so if you're a person complaining, saying, you know what, I find it so hard to be rich or successful, it's mainly because you can't focus. And that's literally the underlying truth. And I'm not saying this to curse you out or, you know, to make fun of you, because I was literally on the same boat, right? And so why is focus so important, and why is it hijacked, right? And so in order for you to become a millionaire, I want you to understand that it is a specific goal that you want to reach, right? Let's say this is the goal B. Oops. And you're currently here, right? In order for you to reach there, you need a specific vehicle, right? I don't want to elaborate this too much, but essentially you are the driver, and the vehicle is the blueprint that will make you successful. In other words, your business. The vehicle is the specific business, the specific blueprint or formula that will get to objective B. But if the driver sucks, then I can guarantee that your vehicle won't drive. It's basically like somebody who's really poor at driving decides to drive a sports car to, I don't know, whatever destination, but just doesn't arrive because the driver simply sucks. And so the majority of the time, the driver contributes to 90% of you reaching your objective. So 90% is about the driver, and 10% is about the vehicle. Now, in case you're asking where I got this is from the Millionaire Fastlane from, forgot the name of the author, but an amazing book for you guys to read and check out, so that you can understand this analogy a little bit more, right? And so imagine, let's come back to the focus idea. Imagine you're a driver, right? And then so your goal is to be a millionaire. But then 100 kilometers into your journey, you decide to change the vehicle. For example, instead of driving a, let's say you're a Myvi, Perodua Myvi, if you're Malaysian, you'll probably understand this car. Or let's take something like a, I don't know, a BMW A-Class, right? I mean, that's already quite a good car, but let's say BMW A-Class. And 100 kilometers in, you decide to change it to a Toyota Hilux, because it looks better, it's bigger, it's apparently more attractive, coming back to the idea of shiny object syndrome. And you suddenly, you know, get into that Toyota Hilux, and you realize, oh shit, you know, like, actually, like, it's not really, you know, sending me that way, that well, because the car has to be configured, I'm not used to the steering wheel, etc., etc. So the point is that if you want to become a millionaire, you need to have a solid vehicle, right? And that vehicle is a specific blueprint. And so it is absolutely fine if you suddenly change your vehicle, right? As I mentioned, like the point earlier with the Toyota Hilux or BMW first class. Essentially, the vehicle doesn't really matter because it only contributes to 10%. But I can tell you one thing for sure, if the driver is not optimized, then it doesn't matter what vehicle you are in. And so that's what I was trying to explain earlier. Then you need some time to adjust to the new vehicle. Suddenly, like Toyota Hilux is a bit too big, or you can't steer so well, or the wheels are a bit off. And I can tell you one thing for sure, it's not the vehicle's fault. It's mainly the driver's fault. Because if I can tell you one thing, if you were a good hell of a driver, it doesn't matter what vehicle you drive, you will still reach that destination. And let me repeat that. If you are a good driver, it doesn't matter what vehicle you drive, you will still reach your destination. So from now on, I want you to focus on you, the driver. Essentially you. You are the hero of your story, you are the main character. So focus on the driver, because a lot of people are worried about the business models. They're about, okay, what type of product should I sell? What type of services should I do? Like, a lot of people are very focused on the specific blueprint, and then they'll do tons of research. They have millions ideas of business ideas, million different variations of business strategies, and that's absolutely fine, don't get me wrong, but you're perhaps looking at the wrong area. And so coming back to the point, this all boils down back and is correlated to focus. So if you want to become a millionaire, start focusing on yourself by realizing that it is the driver that gets you there. And the most cliche quote I can think about, it is the person that you become that will allow yourself to become a millionaire. If you are a person who has the wrong sets of belief systems, you have your value priorities, or your value hierarchy all wrong, you prioritize the wrong things, you have perhaps the wrong sets of attitude completely messed up, it's almost impossible, not almost, it's literally impossible for you to become this status. And so from now on, I want you guys to figure out what it takes to become highly focused, right? I already gave you guys a set of specific factors that contribute to focus. And for you as a practical experiment, I want you guys to figure out what are some of the things that are, one, hijacking my focus, and number two, ways that I could optimize these specific key areas. And from there on, if you put an objective for yourself, for example, you want to be a millionaire, I will again guarantee you that you have at least a 50 to 60% higher likelihood of you actually reaching that destination. Think about this, and I'll see you soon.